Trigger warning, I'm gonna mention, it's taken me so long to tell this full story because it's genuinely one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me. So when me and my husband bought our first house, things started to get weird very quickly, but it took about 2 years before it all came to a head. The first thing that I noticed is every morning when I woke up, even though I had tucked all the chairs into the kitchen table, one chair was always in the same chair, was always taken out from the table and facing down the hallway, which was where all the bedrooms were. That happened for a while, and it took me a minute to pick up on the fact that it wasn't my husband doing it and my husband picking up on the fact that it wasn't me. Then I started to walk down the hallway like at night, and I would see the chair facing me and nobody sitting in it, but in the reflection of the like window right beside the table, there was always an old man sitting in the chair. I didn't think anything of it because he didn't seem to creep me out, like timelines passing, whatever. Then one night I'm having a dream, a sleep paralysis dream, so I'm like awake, but not really. And I see a shadow, a very tall, like 8-foot, very skinny shadow standing and leaning over my husband like this. He's sleeping. The next morning when my husband wakes up, I told him like, I saw the craziest thing standing over you. I don't mean to scare you, but I saw something. And he was like, stop. Because I had a dream that I opened my eyes and there was nothing but like black staring at me. And then I told him what I saw. And like, I mean, you just like that kind of coincidence. A few months go by and then we're sitting in the living room and this is a house that was built in the 60s. So we had this like big bay window in the living room and we were on an acre and basically all of that acre was our front yard. And we hear scratching on the front window, on the outside of the front window. And it wasn't anything like a raccoon or it could have been anything like that. We were still in a neighborhood. And that just wasn't something we often saw. I mean, the front porch was literally like this big. I wouldn't even call it a porch. So me and him get kind of like uncomfortable and we're like, let's go back to the bedroom. We go back to the bedroom and we lay down and all of a sudden we hear such a loud bang. We thought that both of our bookshelves, we had like 8-foot tall bookshelves in our living room with we collect old books and like all the old National Geographics. We heard them fall and both of our cats went running to the back of our house. They came running under our bed. And so we slammed the door. We start kind of like game planning. Like, what do we do? What do we do? We're thinking somebody's in the house. They just like busted our door down and the bookshelf felt like something's going on. We get some protection and we go out to like see what's happening. Nothing was out of place. Nothing had fallen. Nothing. And we know we weren't crazy because our cats reacted. Then I had a baby and I brought her home and babies always stare and do weird stuff. But one of my first viral videos was her staring behind me like this. I had her on my knees and she was looking behind me and she's laughing and playing with something behind me. And as I pan the camera, you see white movement like right here. The video's on TikTok so we can find it. I would say about a month after that, I was rocking her in her room at night. I was fully awake. I was not dreaming. I was not sleepy. Like I'm full mom mode. I'm up. Her bedroom looked all the way down the hallway where that chair is facing me as it has for the last 2 years that we lived there. And as I look up into the hallway, I see facing the corner, like looking into my bedroom because her room's here and my bedroom's like here. So standing looking into my bedroom where I'm in her bedroom is a full-on hooved, extremely tall, horned. I immediately start praying. I immediately out loud start praying. And of course, this is at 3 a.m. So the next morning, I tell my husband, I saw something crazy. I'm getting out of here. And he said that he looked over on the monitor at about 3 a.m. and he saw something moving around in the bedroom. Mind you, this is when I was rocking her and the monitor does not face the rocking chair. So I loaded up my baby. We went to a Catholic church and I got christened. I got a christened cross, a christened blessing. I filled up a whole water bottle and 2 little Tupperware things of holy water. I had an entire, like the cross hanging on the entryway of our house. I walked around. I had one of my Catholic friends come over and bless our home. I walked around dousing holy water and praying over the entire house. I bathed my daughter in holy water. I bathed her in holy water. That's how much holy water I got. They probably thought that I was insane. And then every night before bed, I would bless her head and I would bless every single one of like me and my husband and every doorway in our house. After that, we never had another incident. To this day, it's one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me, and I still carry that cross around. It's about this big, but it comes with us no matter where we live, and it's always over the entryway that leads to our bedrooms.
I had the worst Valentine's Day ever. I was in high school and I was dating this guy for almost a year. We never really went on dates though. So he came to my house, it was Valentine's Day, and we exchanged presents. I was gonna go to a fine arts school for college and I didn't really have any money, so I made him this really special gift that I worked really hard on. He gave me a $5 stuffed animal from like Walgreens, which it's not about the price, but he just kind of threw it at me. After that, we were walking to the car and he was taking up like the entire sidewalk. So much so that I had to walk in the grass and it had been raining and I was wearing heels. So obviously it was not ideal. I end up falling in the mud and instead of helping me up, he just laughs at me. And the worst part, he didn't even take the gift with him that I spent weeks working on. What's your Valentine's Day horror story?
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first.
I have one. So about 10 years ago, 10 or 11 years ago, I was working on a small independent film out in the middle of Illinois in some small town that I can't recall the name of, but the filmmaker put us all up at the bed and breakfast in town, which was this really old house that had been, converted to a B&B. And this really sweet woman ran it, very nice welcome, everything, obviously. And so we're there. The first night, I remember it was a Tuesday, and we all, go to our rooms and everything. And my room was like a bedroom, then a bathroom, and then another room, like a den. So it was like a suite kind of like setup, and so I'm like putting my bathroom stuff away, and I look in the den and it's super cute, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go in there and work on my stuff that I need to work on for tomorrow. And as soon as I went in to that den, immediately I was like, no, there was something like so off about it. It felt eerie, it felt weird, it was cold, and I know it was an old house, but there was a significant temperature difference from the bathroom to this den. It honestly, like, it felt like someone was watching me. That's honestly the best way that I can describe this feeling. I felt very uncomfortable. And so I closed the door and went and did my stuff on the bed instead. And then I went to bed. And in the middle of the night, I wake up to a scratching sound. I don't know how loud it was. Back then, I was a super heavy sleeper. Like, this was 10 years ago before I had kids. I am not a heavy sleeper anymore, unfortunately, although I guess fortunately because I have kids. So I was a very heavy sleeper back then. Case in point, we had one time an intruder in the basement of our apartment, 3-flat, and the cops were called, and I slept through the entire thing. Cops running up and down the hallway, everything. I slept through the whole thing, found out about it the next morning. So that's how heavy of a sleeper I was. So anyway, so I wake up to this scratching noise and my eyes are closed and I'm like, what is that? What could that be? I'm thinking, like, is it a tree? Like on the outside, like on right outside the wall of the house, like scratching, the side of the house. Maybe that's it. And so I opened my eyes, and right there on the wall, I saw a shadow. It was not a figure, like it wasn't, like a solid person or anything. It was a shadow on the wall of a person. I saw like a head and shoulders. I did not turn around to check if someone was behind me because I was alone in that room. So I just pulled the covers over my head and went to sleep because I was terrified. And woke up the next day. I didn't tell anybody about this. I didn't want to be that weird girl that's like, my hotel room is haunted, even though it totally was. And I didn't want to, like, I don't know, make any drama or anything. I didn't want to seem like I wasn't appreciative of, like, being, given this room. So I just, whatever. And then that night, nothing happened. The next night, nothing happened. Nothing actually ever happened again. But come Friday, we're shooting all of our outdoor
Hola a todos. Thank you so much for your patience. You guys are amazing. I am so thankful for you guys, for understanding in my absence for a little bit. But we're going to start with our first story, and this is from Amanda Ramirez. Has been waiting for weeks, so thank you, Amanda, so much. And her story goes like this. She says, so when I was 13, my grandmother had passed away, and I was so mad at God because he took her from me. You know how it is when you're a teen. Well, day 3 after my grandmother's funeral, I stayed at my tia's house. I woke up around 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom, which is weird because I was 13 and I can usually wait. Well, I went to the bathroom and there was my grandma who had passed away. And she said, Amanda, come with me. And I was like, no, Grandma, I can't go with you. Just then, her face started to change. And after the 3rd time she asked me, and I said no to her face and clothes melted away. And it was the being. It was black with red eyes. I got so scared, I got my mom and told her what was happening. She went back with me, but it was gone. The only thing left behind were its footprints that were burnt into the floor. This is super sad that this thing appeared as her grandmother. Super creepy, really scary. I'm so sorry that did happen to you. She says there's more stories to come, so I hope to hear some more. I'm very excited to read her stories. This one was really creepy, really scary. Again, thank you guys so very much for your patience, and let me know if you guys have ever experienced anything like that. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love you guys. Good night.
I lived in Appalachia for the first 26 years of my life, more specifically Mason County, West Virginia, which is home to the Mothman. So I would argue that Appalachia, like as a whole, is the anthology series that like American Horror Story like wants to be, and it's because of the wide ranging of things and themes that occur in that region. It is a bizarre region. But aside from all the bizarre experiences that my family and I have experienced, and made plenty of TikToks on that, I'm transitioning over to talking more about like the haunted house that we grew up in and my mom still lives in today. So there is a shared experience between my brother and I that we experienced periodically growing up. And that was a common dream. I know you could say, well, that's understandable, but hear the dream though. Listen to the dream. So I remember experiencing this dream like at 8 years old, but I know it was before 10 years old, but like roughly around 8 years old was when it started happening for me. And the dream goes like this. So I would be like going down into the basement, and when I get down there, there would be like extra rooms to the basement. And like the rooms kept going like down further into the earth, like just kept going down and down and down and down and down. And it was easy to go towards the rooms, and it was harder to come back up towards the stairs. So whenever I would like approach the door to the room, or like the very, very far back of the basement, which is like the furthest that you can go like underground or like into earth, there would be like a weird sensation in the dream. And it was like a pulling effect. So like I would get closer to it, and it would be like easier to go towards it. So I just go towards it and keep going and going. And then I noticed that like it would lead down to like shafts or like a portal or something like that, where it would like go down into the earth. But then when I was like done and wanted to go back upstairs, it was so freaking hard to go away from that portal, door, whatever you want to call it. And like my body just kept getting heavier and heavier. And then when I would hit the stairs to walk back up to the actual house, my legs would stop working. And then I would have to crawl like up the freaking stairs. And it was like so debilitating and like strangulating, because like the whole dream was just me fighting to get up the stairs. And then like once I break free and like into the actual doorway of the downstairs, like to the stairs to go down to the basement, like everything would be regained and back, like everything would be normal, the dream would end. So after having this, I did not know my brother was having this dream at the time, and it was brought up organically in conversation, and he told me the exact same dream and the exact same sensations. And so him and I would have these dreams like during like the same week. Like he'd like, did you have that dream? I'm like, did you have the dream? And I'm like, yes, what's going on? Like we had the same dream, both of us together, not like on the same day or stuff. That probably did happen, but not like on the exact same night. But we had this shared dream where you could not get up the stairs, but it was easier to go towards like the furthest part that's in the ground of our basement, because our basement is literally like underground, like a normal basement. But there's one specific area that's legitimately like underground, and that just felt there was like a pull to that area, and it was weird. It's bizarre. We think it like has something to do with like all the other phenomenon that goes on at our house, which I have more videos coming, or TikToks coming. Some of them already posted. The place was like a nexus of energy. It's a bizarre house. Scary. I never really got scared of the house, but like I can see how other people would see it as like scary. I liked it. I loved it. It was cool. It was cool as fuck.
Deci astăzi mi s-au muiat picioarele și m-am speriat foarte tare. După ce am ieșit în oraș, am zis să ieșim cu mașina la o plimbare și am trecut pe lângă o casă mai veche și face Alex către mine. Am zis să am impresia că ne-a făcut o bătrânică cu mâna. Și am zis, măi, n-are cum să ne facă o bătrânică cu mâna. Probabil l-a făcut la altcineva. Și face, nu bine, hai să ne întoarcem. Măi, trec pe lângă casă și o văd pe mine că e așa în geam și face cu mâna. Vai, mi s-au înmuiat picioarele, nici nu mai știu să vorbesc. Foarte creepy. Am zis, măi, n-are cum. Ni s-a părut, mai trecem încă o dată. Ne-am oprit. Femeia stătea la geam așa și ne făcea cu mâna. Săraca probabil avea probleme, nu știu, dar a fost foarte creepy. Fraților, era să facem infart. Ia uitați-o. Deci am zis că mai venim încă o tură, să vedem dacă mai stă acolo la geam.
Should we show them the older homestead?
Okay, yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
It went to both.
Yeah.
So I read this story online and it quite literally gave me goosebumps. The writer named Laura says that a friend of hers invests in foreclosed homes and he always invites family and friends to come over, take things that they want from the home that he is buying. And she says that immediately when she got there, it was clutter city. There was food wrappers, old recipes, like a lot of stuff piled on top of more stuff. And she said that there was about 15 of them ransacking through everything. They had masks, they had gloves, and pretty much just trying to see what was still good. And she says that as they continued to dig and dig through this mess of this home, it became sad. She says that this is when the sentimental items started to appear. Clothes, passports, handwritten letters from the 60s and the 70s. She was looking through the pictures and it seemed that this woman had been a widow for a long time and she didn't have any children. Laura ended up being the last one in the house. Her friend was waiting for her outside and the sun had started to set. So it was kind of dark, it was a little eerie, and she, getting ready to go, grabbed her basket full of things that she was taking, and as she was about to walk out, she felt this tight, cold grasp right here on her arm. She even posted this picture, and as you can see right there, you can see like the hand, like it's clearly marked on her arm. Obviously she's scared. She immediately drops everything that she's holding and she says that she felt like someone even like tugged her back, like pulling her back inside the house. She gets home and she sees that a clear as day handprint on her arm, and she's like, I had never seen that before. Who is going to be holding me long enough for me to get like a sunburn? She literally had no idea where this came from. That pale handprint stayed on her arm for days, and she was like, okay, this is not right. So she starts getting rid of all the items that she took from that woman's home. And as soon as she got rid of all the items, that is when the handprint went away. I personally think that spirits can have attachment to their personal items, to their home. So yes, I do believe that if you take something that someone doesn't want you to have, they can and they will follow you. Let me know what you guys think. And if you guys have any spooky stories that you'd like for me to read, please make sure that you send them via DM or email. I'd love to read them, and I will see you guys in the next spooky story. Bye!
So a girl was staying at an Airbnb because she just needed like a wee breakaway sort of thing. But when she got there, she looked at the bookshelf and there was like a red dot sort of like coming from it. It looks like a camera, right? But she didn't want to like text the Airbnb owner accusing them. So she thought she'd be sneaky with it. And she was basically just like, oh, like, is that a fire alarm? Like, she basically made it, she's worried that the fire alarm might be flashing. And they replied back and they were like, no, don't worry, that fire alarm's inactive. So she was like, oh right, great then, like I've just confirmed it is a fire alarm, no worries. So she thinks nothing of it, she stays the rest of her stay and then she goes home, okay? Then, a couple weeks later, she gets a call from the police and they are basically investigating into this Airbnb because they're saying that they've had so many complaints about it apparently. And so because she stayed recently, they're ringing her and asking basically, what the hell happened? Hold on. So they're asking her how was her experience, did she find anything weird? And she's like, well yeah, like the red dot thing, whatever, I thought it was a camera. And they're like, well, you know, so you've already noticed this? And she's like, yeah. And they're like, okay, I have to show you something. They show her a hard drive and it's all videos of people sleeping. Now here is the weird bit, as if that's not weird on its own, but anyway, weirder. They say to her, like, you left on Saturday, didn't you? And she's like, yeah. On the video of her sleeping, the timestamp on it is Sunday. But she left on Saturday. So then I'm like, is someone like doing something to make these people forget? Or like, what? Isn't that so weird?
He watched her inside of Target, followed her through every aisle, waited for her to check out, all while pretending to shop. When in reality, he had already decided that Kelsey wasn't leaving that parking lot. Trigger warning, this case does involve the murder of a young woman. So if you're sensitive to content like this, please scroll. I care about your mental health a lot. So please take care of yourself. Kelsey's case is one of those tragedies that shows you how fast a normal day can turn dangerous without any warning. She wasn't doing anything risky, and she wasn't in a bad area or out late. She was just running an ordinary errand, the same kind that most of us do without thinking, completely unaware that someone with violent intentions had decided to target her the moment she arrived. Kelsey Smith was an 18-year-old girl from Overland Park, Kansas. She was smart, kind, close with her family, and in a loving relationship. On June 2nd, 2007, she headed to Target to pick up a 6-month anniversary gift for her boyfriend. It was supposed to be quick and simple, nothing out of the ordinary. She walked into the Target at 97th and Quivira. Everything looked normal. But surveillance footage later revealed that someone walked in right behind her. A man named Edward Jack Hall. Kelsey didn't notice him. Most of us wouldn't. He wasn't acting suspicious, and he wasn't drawing attention to himself. But the footage showed something that people often miss in real time. Patterns. Edward kept appearing in the same aisles as Kelsey. Not close enough to make it obvious, but close enough that when you watch it back, it was clear that he wasn't shopping. He was watching. He trailed her at a distance for several minutes. Then, the moment she headed towards the cashier, he slipped out of the store. And that detail is chilling because it shows that he was waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike, the moment she'd be alone. Outside, in the parking lot, Kelsey walked towards her car. Within seconds, Edward forced her inside. The abduction happened incredibly fast. Fast enough that if you weren't looking directly at them, you might not realize anything was wrong. But the cameras caught just enough to confirm that she didn't get into that car willingly. Her car left the parking lot at 7:10 p.m. 2 hours later, at 9:17 p.m., a Macy's camera captured the same car abandoned in a different parking lot. Whoever left it sped away in a different vehicle, which was later identified as Edward's truck. Inside the car, investigators found unidentified fingerprints on the seatbelt, prints that will become crucial later. Here's where things get extremely frustrating. Police and Kelsey's family knew immediately that something was wrong. She wasn't the type to disappear. They also knew that her cell phone could help locate her because the last ping would show where she was. But her phone provider, Verizon Wireless, did not release the records quickly. It took 4 days. 4 days of searching, waiting, and hoping. Kelsey's parents have been vocal about how much this delay hurt the investigation. And honestly, it's hard not to agree that those days mattered. When the records were finally released, the ping led investigators to a wooded area near Longview Lake in Grandview, Missouri. That's where they found Kelsey's body. She'd been in with her own belt. The focus immediately returned to the man seen in the target footage. A neighbor recognized him instantly and identified him as Edward Hall, a married father who on the surface lived an ordinary life, but his past told another story. As a child, he had threatened his adopted sister with a knife and struck another boy in the head with a baseball bat. These violent behaviors were red flags no one fully addressed. When the police arrested him, he denied being involved, but admitted that he was at Target that day. But once the fingerprints on Kelsey's seatbelt were matched to him, the truth was undeniable. Investigators believe that he spotted Kelsey in the parking lot, followed her inside, tracked her through the aisles, retrieved a from his truck, and forced her into her own car before driving her miles away. Edward Hall was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. But Kelsey's story didn't end there. Her family refused to let her be in vain. So they created the Kelsey Smith Act, a law requiring cell phone companies to immediately release location data when someone is believed to be in danger. Because of them, countless lives have a better chance of being found in time.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
I have another scary story to read y'all, and this one is a little different than the ones that we've done before. This one is about mimics. That is something that is absolutely terrifying. Mimics, skinwalkers, hell no. I'm originally from Arizona, and funny, my boyfriend is actually from North Carolina, and I feel like those two areas are just like really known for having a lot of like skinwalker and mimic activity. That stuff just really freaks me out. This person who DM'd me, their name on here is Ghosty. I don't have their real name, but they did give me permission to tag them in the caption, so for this story we'll just call them Ghosty. So this story happened to Ghosty recently. This happened last month. Ghosty is 18 and they had just spent a really fun day joyriding on their golf cart with their friends. One of Ghosty's friends that was with them is a medium. Ghosty says when they picked up their friend, they drove past this old lady's house, and Ghosty's friend waves at the lady as they drive by on the golf cart. Ghosty's friend said after that interaction with the old lady, she felt like they were being followed. So later on that day, two of their friends come to hang out with them, and they say that they can see it too. So not only can they feel this around them, they can see something. It was the old lady that they had waved at earlier that day. After some time goes by, they can still see this mimic following them around, but it's no longer in the form of the old woman. It's in the form of one of their friends that they are currently with. So understandably, they are all super freaked out, but at the end of the day, they all go home, they all go their separate ways, except for the friend that Ghosty was with on the golf cart. That friend decided to stay the night because she was so freaked out. So Ghosty and their friend get on FaceTime with their two friends that went home, and their two friends say that they can still see the mimic inside their homes. Ghosty is smart. Ghosty knows a lot about this kind of paranormal stuff because they tell their friends to just try to stop thinking about it, stop worrying about it, because mimics feed off of fear. So Ghosty tells themselves and their friends that they are not scared anymore. After that, Ghosty doesn't see the mimic anymore, but their friends are still seeing it because they're still so scared. The night continues on, and they all eventually go to sleep, and the next morning the mimic was gone, and they haven't seen it again since September 14th. That is so terrifying because that's not really something that you can just run away from, like a home invasion or something. This is something way more evil than that. I couldn't imagine seeing a mimic outside, and I certainly couldn't imagine seeing one inside my freaking house. I am so glad that they haven't seen this thing since last month, and I hope y'all never have to see that again. If you have a similar scary story or any kind of scary story, whether it be paranormal, home invasion, maybe you saw something you can't explain, I would love for you to DM it for me and I'll make a video reading your story. Also, if you have any Appalachian scary stories, I say Appalachian, I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly, but if you live in the Appalachian area or in the desert like Arizona, Utah, Nevada, I would love to know if you have seen anything similar to this, any of the folklore type stuff. Please DM me your skinwalker and mimic stories if you have one.